Hey, what's up, GRE lovers? So today we're gonna look into another critical reasoning question. And basically, the way you basically identify these is first of all, if you see the length right over here, it's pretty small, right? And the second thing is that it just has only one question. So I already know that I'm basically tackling a critical reasoning question. And the way to tackle these questions is probably look at the question first, just so that you can know what you're looking for and you kind of like don't waste time with the details, stuff like that. So it says, okay, which of the following, if true, most strengthens the argument? Okay, so now I think I'm in a pretty good position to jump back to my passage and start thinking what I really need to do here. Okay, so the second I see this word strengthen, already I'm trying to analyze this argument and I'm trying to look for the assumption, okay? Assumption. And the second I see that assumption, I'm basically looking for an answer choice which is probably trying to make that assumption happen, probably increase its likelihood, its probability, something which makes it valid. In that way, the argument is going to be strengthened. Okay, so here we go. Recently, an unusually high number of dolphins have been found dead of infectious diseases. Okay, so how about we sketch it out? So I'm going to use D for dolphin. So unusually high number. Okay, say, well, when it comes to the number, a lot of dolphins have been found dead. Okay, and have been found dead of infectious disease, and most of these had abnormal high tissue concentration of certain compounds. Okay, so the reason why basically they're dying is probably some type of infectious disease. Okay, that's why these poor dolphins are dying and have some abnormally high tissue concentration of certain compounds, and they also have some, certain compounds and pretty high concentration. Okay, so far so good. Even in the low concentration, reduced dolphins' resistance to infection. Okay, so these compounds can, even in not slow, sorry, in a low quantity, let's call it low quantity, can significantly reduce the resistance that these dolphins have in order to, resist some infection, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the only source of these compounds in the dolphin's environment is the boat paint. Okay, so when we're basically talking about these chemicals and its source, so probably the source, if I'm talking about the source, so it is some type of boat paint. Boat paint. Okay. And then it says, therefore, since dolphins rid their bodies of these compounds rapidly, once exposure ceases, their mortality rate should decline rapidly if such boat paints are banned. Okay, so I think I probably need to draw some stuff out here, probably to visualize things and understand it better. So let's say this is the boat. I know it's not very sound, kind of like ugly, but you guys get the idea, right? And this is probably the water. Okay, and probably they're releasing some type of paint. And let's draw a dolphin here. I know it's not going to be a very good sketch. This looks like a fish, but you guys get the idea. So it's basically saying that if I come back up over here, it says, since dolphins rid their bodies of compounds rapidly, once exposure ceases, their mortality rate should decline rapidly if such boat paints are banned. Okay, so what they're saying is that if I basically cut down or block the supply of these paints, these dolphins get rid of these chemicals, and therefore the mortality rate of dolphins dying is gonna decrease. And we're gonna see happy, healthy dolphins, okay? This is what the overall passage is basically saying. So I think this type of passage can be understood in a very effective manner if I kind of like come up with an analogy which is more easy to understand. So I'm just gonna come up with this analogy right over here. I'm just gonna sketch something out so that it's more understandable. So let's say there is a company X and it is making, I don't know, Y cars. Okay, why cars? Let's draw this out real quick. Okay, looks like a car. And these cars release some type of, I don't know, gases, which probably have some type of, dangerous toxic chemicals. Okay. And these chemicals are somehow harmful to human nature, or probably a lot of humans, are kind of like dying, right? Humans have the tendency to get rid of these chemicals pretty quickly. And if I can somehow basically, block this supply, let me use a different colors just so that we don't, mix this X with the block. So if we stop this chain, eventually, humans are gonna get better and they're gonna get healthier and they will not die, right? So this is the overall scenario which is going on. So the assumption that this argument is basically making, that what if, like, just think about this. Okay, so if, let's say, this chemical, let's draw it out. Okay, if this is the human and this chemical through this gas goes inside of him and he quickly gets rid of it, now the question is, what can this chemical do to other people? Like, what if these chemicals can affect other people in a very harmful manner and they can get sick and eventually die? Like, for example, we can relate this to our current situation, right? Like the COVID, okay? So there is a possibility that one person might recover, but during his recovery, he might someone else and he might die. So the argument is basically assuming that this chemical right over here, once it basically goes through a person, or probably, if a person gets rid of it, its toxicity, or probably its harmful nature decreases. Okay, its harmful nature is rapidly reduced to a certain point that it has literally no effect on others, and it's basically not a threat to others anymore. Similarly, if I go back up, I can use the same argument, the same assumption, and I can say, okay, once the dolphins basically get rid of these chemicals toxicity or harmful nature is reduced to a certain extent that they die out in water and they are basically not a threat to other dolphins, and other dolphins are probably going to chill out and they will be safe, right? Okay, so now that we're basically done with our analysis, I think we are in a pretty good position to go jump to the answer choices and start eliminating those which basically don't align with our answer. So if I start from the bottom, it says the compound do not leach out of the boat paint if the paint is applied exactly in accordance with the manufacturer's direction. Okay, so this is just basically giving us probably a precaution that, hey, if you do this, then this is not going to happen. You're not going to leak the boat. However, it has nothing to do with our assumption, and it has nothing to do with, solidifying or probably strengthening or making it more valid. So we can safely eliminate this. Next, D. High tissue levels of compounds have recently been found in some marine animals. Okay, this is probably a bit too broad because we're interested in dolphins, right? Okay, anyway. But there is no record of any of those animals dying in unusually large number recently. Okay, so this is basically just there to confuse you. First of all, it is a bit too broad. Like, we're interested in specific dolphins. The passage mentions literally nothing about other marine animals, so we can safely eliminate this. The compound breaks down into harmless substance after a few months of exposure to water and air. Okay, so this kind of looks good because our analysis was that if dolphins can get rid of this chemical quickly, rapidly, then the toxicity or the harmful nature of those chemicals is going to die out, and then it's going to be no threat to basically other dolphins. So it kind of aligns with that. I'm going to leave it for now. Let's see if there is a better answer. In high concentrations, the compounds are toxic to many types of marine animals. Many types of marine animals. I think I can eliminate that just like for the same reason that I eliminated D for some marine animals, those animals. We're just interested in dolphins, so sorry, bye bye B. Okay, A says the level of compounds typically used in boat paints today are lower than they were in boat paints manufactured a decade ago. Okay, so it's basically just drawing a comparison, and our analysis has nothing to do with what was happening some decades ago or what is happening now, so we can safely eliminate that. So through the process of elimination, answer must be C.